You may have noticed by now that sometimes we use DML and sometimes we don't. This might be confusing to you, so let's put this question to rest. Always use DML, unless the records you're updating are the same records in trigger.new and you're in a before trigger. Let me repeat that. Always use DML, unless both the following are true. Your records are inside trigger.new, you're in a before trigger. If both of these scenarios are true, your record will automatically update itself at some point after your trigger finishes. This is because before triggers run just before records in trigger.new are about to be saved. Let's go through a few examples so you get a better idea of this. Here's a trigger that creates a new opportunity every time an account is created. On the last line of code where we insert the opportunity, do we need it? Pause and think. The answer is yes. We need this DML statement because the record we're inserting is not part of trigger.new. Trigger.new in this trigger is every newly inserted account. Our DML statement is on a separate opportunity record that's being inserted. Also, this is an after trigger. You always need DML in after triggers since those triggers fire after a record has been saved. But what if we didn't have the DML in this line? Well, we do all the work of creating an opportunity, but it would never get saved to our database. It'd be as if nothing ever happened. Poop. Here's another example. Let's say our business has been getting some bad press from CEOs since we've been spamming them too much. This trigger checks to see if a lead has CEO as their job title, then sets the lead's do not call field to true. Do we need DML in this trigger? Pause and think. The answer is we do not need DML in this trigger. For one, the record we'd use DML on is a record in trigger.new. See, my lead is the temporary variable for a lead in trigger.new. Add to the fact that this is a before trigger, and we definitely should not do DML on my lead. The definition of a before trigger is that your trigger runs before records in trigger.new get saved. By definition, records in trigger.new will automatically be saved at some point after your trigger finishes. So doing a DML statement on this record here would be redundant, and Salesforce doesn't accept that. Last example. Let's say our business sometimes works with government customers. And when we work with government customers, we have to be extra careful over any changes we make to their records. This trigger identifies if any government contacts are updated, then creates a task to verify we didn't make any unwilling changes. Do we need this DML here that inserts our task? Pause and think. The answer is yes. We do need the DML on our task. Trigger.new is a list of all contacts that are updated. The task that we're creating is not part of that list. Notice too that even though this is a before trigger, we still don't need DML. Before triggers run before records in trigger.new get saved. It doesn't apply to records outside of trigger.new. So we do need this DML line. If we didn't have it, once again, all our hard work would be lost and it would be as if our trigger never existed because we'd never see any task get created from it. That's it for DML. You're now ready to use it in the real world. But to be honest, there's still more to learn with DML, especially around multi-record DML. We'll be covering that topic as well as other more advanced topics around code efficiency in a future course. What you've learned today is enough to write a working trigger in most basic scenarios.